Good evening and welcome back to The Power of the Prosecutor, our monthly community education program that is focused on providing you with insight into the inner workings of your community and how it works. This evening, I am so excited to have with me Dr. Debra Pace from the Osceola County School District. The Osceola County School District serves 69,000 students in over 60 schools. Welcome, Dr. Pace, and thank you so much for being with me this evening.
Well, thank you so much, State Attorney, for this opportunity to talk about how we partner together to improve the safety of our schools and our community.
Absolutely. It is definitely an honor and a privilege. So let me give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and provide our viewers with an overview of your role and your school district's, your responsibility as superintendent.
Well, thank you so much again.
We're wondering, what is a superintendent and what do they even do?
Well, thank you for that opportunity. I actually am a native of Osceola County Schools. I grew up here, was a product of the school system. All four of my children are graduates of our school system. So the work that I do here in our school district is very, very, very personal to me. And I see we are joined now by our superintendent from Orange, Dr. Vazquez. So I'll go on and then we'll get back to you, Dr. Vazquez, if that's okay, State Attorney.
Yes, absolutely.
I started as the superintendent in 2016, having started my role in education in the district in 1986. So I've been doing this for a very long time. It's very, very personal to me. As I said earlier, the superintendent of the school district is like the chief executive officer. So while our board provides policy and governance and direction for our school district, it's really up to me and my team to manage the day-to-day school district operations, of course, in alignment with the board and the community's goals, priorities, and budget. So since I became the superintendent in 2016, campus safety has been a huge priority. Even before Parkland, I felt like I needed somebody besides just me who got up every morning and went to bed every night worrying about how we were keeping our campuses safe. And so that is something that I've been committed to since the beginning. We are very, very fortunate in the school district of Osceola County in that we have super strong relationships with Osceola County, with the two cities, so that we have partnerships with our sheriff's department and both of our two city police departments to help in that particular role. And then, of course, State Attorney, we are enjoying the partnership with you as your team has reached out to establish that liaison relationship between law enforcement, the prosecutor's office, and our school district. So thank you.
Absolutely. That is so important. The safety of our students, the fact that parents can feel safe, about their children being in the school so that the students can feel safe in the schools, and all of you as representatives of the school districts can feel safe as well. So thank you so much for that very important piece. And I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome Dr. Maria Vazquez from Orange County Public School System here with us this evening. Dr. Vazquez, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
It's a pleasure, and I apologize. I had technical difficulties getting on, but I'm happy to be here this evening.
Absolutely. And if you could just take a moment to introduce yourself and explain your role to our viewers.
Well, unlike Dr. Pace, I have been in the role of superintendent for just about 2 weeks, but I have been with Orange County Public Schools for over 30 years. I started out as a classroom teacher, then did professional development, then became a principal supervisor, chief academic officer, deputy superintendent, and now superintendent of Orange County Public Schools. We've raised our children in Central Florida. It's an incredible community to live in, and I am just honored to be taking the helm of Orange County Public Schools at this time in our history.
Well, welcome to your new role. Now, Orange County Public Schools is the 9th largest school district in the nation. Is that correct?
Yes, we have 210 schools, approximately 209,000 students, and about 25,000 employees. So we're quite a large organization.
Now, your school districts are also very diverse demographically, with students and families from various cultures and background. With all these potentially competing interests, how do each of you balance your priorities and ensure that every student is served well?
Dr. Vazquez, go ahead.
Sure. We are incredibly diverse, both in demographics and in socioeconomics. We like to say that we serve a beautiful tapestry of children. We have families that are homeless and families that are very affluent. We have children who are highly gifted to severely disabled, and we have homeless children that are gifted and affluent families that have disabled children. And so it is incredibly important that we are connected and listen to the needs of our diverse community so that we are able to provide the supports necessary to ensure we're coming out of the pandemic in a manner that will allow our students to thrive. And that includes addressing, the loss of learning as well as mental health issues that we're seeing across our district. And so by partnering with agencies throughout our community and listening to our parents, we are connecting them both with resources in our school system and within our community.
Here in the school district of Osceola County, we talk about serving every child, every chance, every day. And my message to my people is that that's not just something that we say, it's something that we do. It has to guide our work. We truly are about helping every single one of our students find their opportunity to feel safe, to feel welcomed, but also to feel challenged to achieve their very best potential. That requires different layers of support. Obviously, as Dr. Vazquez mentioned, they come from a wide variety of backgrounds. They bring to us a wide variety of skills and levels of preparation. But our goal at the end of the day is to make sure that every student is ready to be a successful graduate in our school district. That means that they have the basic content skills to be successful, whether they choose work or college or some other opportunity, like perhaps enlistment in our military. We talk about the 4 E's, wanting our students to have a plan to either enroll in a college or university system or perhaps a technical college program. To enlist in one of our military branches is a great way to serve our country and also pursue their educational journey. To employ, but with an industry certification, a real skill in their pocket so that they're able to get a job in perhaps a high demand, high wage area right out of high school. Or if they are going to explore, to take a year to figure out exactly what it is that they want to do and where it is that they want to go, that's an intentional decision and not just by accident. So that in the end is our goal, that portrait of a successful graduate for all of our students. And I have to tell you that the guidance of our board, our strategic plan, really has helped us to prioritize our work. Obviously, over the last 2 years, it's been very, very challenging with the pandemic. Took us a pretty far off mission in many respects, in that we were constantly worrying about COVID and vaccines and quarantines and those types of things. But our focus is really to get back onto what does the best teaching and learning look like? What is it that our students need in order to recover, and not only recover, but to thrive as we move forward? And as we're saying right now, it's about getting better at getting better.
That's awesome. Thank you very much for that. So we've all seen the reports about staffing shortages. There's staffing shortages everywhere. I suffer with staffing shortages myself within the state attorney's office. Talk to us about how much of that is real, how much of it is perceived, and what strategies are the different systems employing in order to address these staffing shortages. Dr. Pace, I'll start with you.
Okay, well, thank you again, State Attorney. The staffing shortages are real. It's not just a myth. It is our number one challenge that we face each and every day, but we are just having to be incredibly creative in how we schedule our students. I will tell you that our teachers and staff members have stepped up to the bat, just like they did throughout the pandemic, and they're taking on extra students. They're perhaps taking on an extra period. Our bus drivers are picking up an extra route. People in the district office, anybody who's got a certificate, is primarily spending a lot of their time in schools to meet the needs of our students, because we know our students have to come first. But we're also doing a lot to be more creative in our recruitment efforts, not only just using online, but exploring all kinds of options, including international teacher contracts. We have a recruitment trip planned to the island of Puerto Rico here in just the next few weeks, taking advantage of every opportunity we can out there to tell our story and say this is a great place for you to work, but also in helping to develop our people in-house. So if we have individuals with degrees who may not have necessarily thought they wanted to be a teacher, we're encouraging them and supporting them and how to apply for certification and how we will protect them and mentor them in their first roles in a classroom, as well as then how do we develop our own. So if you've got that person with that 2-year degree who just needs to finish the last little bit of college, we're going to work to help you and support you during that process. So it's really just kind of an all hands on deck primary focus for us as we move forward to make sure that there is a teacher in every classroom every day, meeting the needs of our students to the very best of our ability within the challenges that we have.
Good. Dr. Vazquez?
And so I want to echo Dr. Pace's comments. The shortages are very, very real. We're very fortunate that through ESSER dollars, we added interventionists at all of our schools. Depending on need, a school might have received for every 2 teachers, 1 interventionist. Or if a school was less fragile, they might have received a primary and intermediate special interventionist. Because of that, we've been able to fill many of our vacancies with those interventionists. Additionally, we have deployed district staff out into our schools so that our numbers of vacancies currently, classroom teacher vacancies, are under 100. And for a district our size, that and the times that we're in, we're incredibly grateful that our teachers have been very flexible and are all hands on deck in the classrooms. Similar efforts to what Dr. Pace referenced, we're expanding our recruitment efforts. We've partnered with agencies who have teachers overseas. We're doing virtual fairs, both face-to-face and virtually. We have partnerships with the local universities. Rollins College is one of the partnerships that we have, that if you are in our paraprofessional in one of our schools, you're able to work towards your 4-year degree and then come back and teach with us. We're looking at other types of partnerships with other universities so that we can work within our current employees who may not have thought of teaching as a career or who just currently only have a 2-year degree. And additionally, we are also working very hard at retaining our teachers. We have seen a growth in enrollment that requires us to have additional teachers, but we also have lost a lot of teachers as a result of the pandemic. And so we're putting extra efforts into ensuring that our staff knows how valuable they are, how important they are, that we need them at the table making decisions. And so I'm very hopeful that the combination of our recruitment and retention efforts are going to position us in a place where we are not seeing the number of vacancies that we had this year in the summer and fall of next school year.
And is this something that you say is specific to our area or to Florida, or is this sort of a national shift that we're seeing in education across the country? Dr. Vazquez?
Yeah, it's a national shift, and we've seen this coming for probably 18 months. Prior to the pandemic, there was a decline in enrollment in the colleges of education across the country, and even here in Florida. And the pandemic just exacerbated that situation. And so people are not flocking to education. The issues with safety, the issues with dealing with mental health, the the loss of learning that they're having to also deal with is a lot on our teachers, and so they have found in some cases other careers. And although the state of Florida has done quite a bit over the last 2 years to provide salaries or dollars for salaries for our beginning teachers, they are still woefully underpaid. Our teachers, when that bell rings and those children go home, their work doesn't stop. Many of them stay after school for another hour or two, go home, cook dinner, do homework with their own families, and then start working again. And so we have to address the issue of salaries for our teachers. And additionally, we need to make them feel that they are more valuable. There's been so much stress on them during the pandemic. And it seems odd that it's just 2 years ago. Sometimes I feel like it's been a much longer time frame. But if you remember that time, we knew nothing. People were working from home. And here we are asking our teachers to come in and teach our children. And they did it. The vast majority of them did that. But then we also asked them to teach both students that were here face to face and students that were learning from home. And it was an incredible time of fear, anxiety, and many of them just did not recover from that. And I know the state of Florida is doing a lot to help with the recruitment and retention of teachers, and we need to continue along that pathway.
Dr. Pace?
I would add, on top of everything that Dr. Vazquez has said, I certainly echo those words. Teachers have always worked really, really hard and done really, really important work. But we've lost the sense of respect for that profession and the amazing work that they are doing with our children. And that level of trust and respect for educators and for the work that they do is something that, as a community, if we could get back to that, I think it would go a really long way towards not only retaining the great teachers that we have in our schools and our school buildings, but also recruiting more people into the profession. I know I loved being a teacher. I still love my best days are when I'm in schools and classrooms talking to students and helping to advance their learning or helping to support the work of our teachers and principals. And I think most of our teachers feel that way. But we're asking them to not only be the teacher, we're asking them to be, in some respects, the cop, the parent, the counselor, the doctor, all of these other things that go far above and beyond helping to educate our children and preparing them for the future. And as a community, I hope that we can get behind and recognize the great work that they're doing as professionals, show them that we value them, we respect them, we appreciate them. We're going to hold our students and our children to expectations for behavior and respect in the classroom. That again goes a long way towards helping that teacher feel like her work is worth it at the end of the day. But I think that is a place where we all together could make a difference. And it doesn't take a lot of money. It doesn't take a lot of ingenuity. It just takes really showing respect and care for the great work that our educators are doing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, one of the things that you touched on brings me to my next question, which is, when you're dealing with those behavioral problems, part of my role as state attorney is to have our juvenile division deal with children who become involved in the legal system. And all too often, that involvement happens through the school system. And I think that it's, the school to prison pipeline is concerning for all of us as members of this community. But as we talked about earlier in our conversation, we must address issues and matters of safety in our schools. So let's talk a little bit about how we can be better partners working with the school systems in keeping children out or off of the school to prison pipeline, but then addressing the matters that absolutely need to be addressed. Dr. Pace?
Well, yes, State Attorney, and thank you for that question. I see a lot of students getting into serious trouble without really understanding the long term potential consequences of their words and their actions, whether it's making a false threat or posting a false threat because, oh, it sounds like fun to disrupt the school day today. Or it's sending that inappropriate text message to a friend, or even worse, airdropping it in the gym. Um, these are all the kinds of things that our young people are engaging in without recognizing the seriousness of the consequences. So, if we could continue to partner together on education, both for our students and also for their families, about what these long term consequences are, and that you have to stop and think before you act in a way that would be harmful to others or disruptive to the school day or disruptive to the community, I think that goes a long way. Along with the potential consequences from a health standpoint of things like vaping and getting into drugs, because all of that then leads to sometimes that community violence that then feeds its way into our schools. So we appreciate the opportunity to partner with you on helping to better educate our students, their families, our staff members about what are the long term ramifications of some of these things and about thinking before they act.
Yeah, absolutely. So education is one of the main things that we try to do. We've gone out to schools and done different presentations. I don't think there's enough hours in the day for all of the education that we can provide, but we're definitely working on getting to as many schools as we can to try to assist in education. Um, I'm a former educator. I was a professor at University of Florida College of Law for 16 years. And while I was there, one of the things that we did in my capacity as director of the criminal justice system, the criminal justice section there at the university, was we developed a booklet called Your Future, Your Choice. And it basically is a guide that every teen should have on their rights, roles, and responsibilities as citizens. And we would go into the schools and actually present this information to them because of many of the things that you discussed that kids are involved in, that they have no idea what the potential long-term consequences are of those actions. And since I became state attorney, that was one of the things that I committed to doing, was continuing that education for our young people, because they are wholly unaware of what the long-term consequences of their actions are. And my goal is to eliminate the school to prison pipeline. So I want to be able to educate these children on the front end so that we don't have to see them on the back end before us as being charged with criminal offenses. So thank you for that. Dr. Vazquez?
Just to add on to the points that Dr. Pace made, and I agree wholeheartedly on the importance of educating our youth. I see a couple of issues. First, the impact that social media has on our children and our community. And yes, that is about education and making sure they understand those consequences. I also think we need to work with our families so that they have a clear understanding about the various social media outlets that are out there and how their children are using that. So I think that is an area where we need to partner more with our law enforcement agencies, with community outreach, with your office, so that they stop and think before they engage with social media. The other piece that I see as being vital is helping them, and it's we've seen it, helping them understand that if you see something and you say something, that's not really about snitching. It's about keeping people safe. And by our partnerships with local law enforcement agencies, we're seeing those relationships between our SROs and our kids really develop, where they see us as true partners. And so I think that's another area that we need to continue to collaborate and work with, so that we're keeping our community safe. For the for the vast majority of the times, our children understand that within the four walls of school, you're going to behave. And they don't bring the problems into school, but it's in their communities. And so then how can we work to make our communities safer? And I think that it will involve us finding more opportunities for kids to do things after school, so that they are not just hanging out at home by themselves. So whether it's participation in clubs and sports after school, at the local YMCA or Boys and Girls Club, at other community agencies where they are bringing them in and working with them, I think is also crucial. We have seen a great increase in discipline since we've come back after the pandemic. Part of that is related to mental health. And in many of our communities, that is still taboo. And so the last point I would make is that we need to make sure our students and our families understand that mental health really is like having another type of illness, whether it's diabetes or high blood pressure. It can be treated, and you can live a long, healthy life. And until we address the mental health issues that we are seeing in so many of our students and our families, we're going to continue to see a rise in discipline and violence because they are not able to access resources and support.
Thank you for that. Right. So, shifting gears, what are your goals for your respective school districts in the upcoming 5 years? Dr. Pace?
Well, as I shared with you earlier, it's about the portrait of a successful graduate. We want 100% of our students to finish their time with us in the school district of Osceola County ready to commit to one of those 4 E's: enroll, enlist, employ, or explore in a very purposeful and strategic way. And we want to make sure that they have all of the skills necessary, the experiences necessary to be successful in coming back to be responsible, productive citizens in our school district. We certainly want to close the achievement gap and get back from fully the pandemic. We made some great progress last year, but we still have a ways to go to get back to where we were and where we want to be in terms of student achievement. But then also to have a culture in our schools where our staff members, our educators feel valued and respected, and our students feel welcomed and safe. That's really what we're about.
And in doing that, what challenges do you foresee, as well as what opportunities do you foresee that are available in achieving those goals?
Well, we have great community partnerships with our local governmental agencies, with our businesses, with the state attorney's office, and we certainly want to continue to build and capitalize on those as a plus, as an opportunity for us to continue to grow and thrive. I think that the staffing challenge is probably going to continue to be one of our most significant obstacles over the next couple of years. You don't become a teacher overnight. It's a pretty much 4-year process. So while we're trying really hard to jumpstart people into the profession, it's going to take us a little bit as a profession to get back to where we are in terms of meeting the needs of our growth in student enrollment with those high quality, well-trained educators. But we're going to support the ones that we have and really work hard, as Dr. Vazquez says, to build a culture in our school district that helps people feel welcomed, valued, and supported so that they want to stick with us and stick with our kids.
Dr. Vazquez?
So first and foremost is safety in our schools and making sure that we have safe working and learning environments. And that is going to be achieved by us continuing to look at best practices across the country on how we prevent violence and how do we have protocols and practices in place to ensure our schools are safe. And the partnerships that we have with our local law enforcement agencies are phenomenal. We really have been working very closely together, and we're seeing the fruits of those efforts. Second is addressing the learning loss that we have experienced, and that's going to be done by having a highly qualified adult in every classroom. And so, as Dr. Pace pointed out, the staffing shortages are going to impact that. But we are very hopeful that we are going to see a change in that trend, and that we'll be able to not only recruit but retain our employees. We have a plethora of resources and supports available for our children, additional learning time, and that's in the morning, in the afternoon, in the evening, during the day, face to face, virtually, on the weekend. So we have the systems in place for them to have that extra help that they need to be able to overcome that learning loss. Third, we are reimagining our schools. We're looking at how we can increase the number of pathways that we have available for our children so that they are successful. And that those pathways can be a pathway to college, a pathway that takes them to a technical college, a pathway that takes them into the armed forces, or a pathway that leads them into a job in a high demand, high wage profession. We have started that work by extending the partnerships that we have with our local businesses. And we are now looking to expand upon those by looking at internships where children are able to have more in-depth experiences in the various careers. We're also extending those opportunities for children to explore starting in our pre-K classrooms so that they can engage and discover all the different opportunities that are available to them. And then lastly is really to re-engage our community so that we are working together to provide the necessary supports our children need in order to be able to thrive.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So I think we're going to have a questions up. Here we go. How can parents who do not yet have K to 12 age students in the community support the districts in achieving their goals to make the schools even better for the future generations to come? Very good question. Thank you for that, Lauren.
So I'm going to just jump in, and I'm going to say, first and foremost, read to your child. We know that the prison to pipeline, the school to prison pipeline really is impacted by a student's ability to read. And so as a parent, the more you're able to read with your child, talk to your child, build that vocabulary, the better they're going to be when they start school. There are great free pre-K programs in Orange County. Many of them are in our own schools. And so as a parent of a child who hasn't started school, to me, reading to them as much as you can is the best preparation.
I would absolutely second that. But also, we welcome your talents, your expertise in our schools, whether it's serving as a mentor or a bookmark buddy and supporting the reading of one of our elementary school students, or whether it's volunteering to give, for example, a seminar on financial literacy or whatever happens to be your area of expertise. We welcome your engagement and your involvement in our schools and our school districts. But I also would go back to that idea of really celebrating and elevating the teachers that you know, whether it's your neighbor, your neighbor's friend, or your neighbor's relative, helping our educators to feel like they are trusted and respected professionals that we can't wait and you can't wait to send your children to see about each and every day once they are of school age.
Great question. Thank you so much for that. So as you can see, we have parents watching us tonight, and they want to know how they can get involved. They want to know what they can do to support the school system. So I will close with asking each of you, for the parents watching tonight, how can they contact you? How can they get in touch with you to get involved, to support the school system, and to address any concerns or issues that they may have concerning their own children? Dr. Pace?
Well, certainly we encourage you to follow our school district social media. Osceolaschools.net is our website, and we have a lot of information there that we try to keep up to date on a regular basis. But also don't hesitate to reach out. Send me an email at debra.pace@osceolaschools.net or call our office. Our number is 407-870-4008. I'll repeat that one time, 407-870-4008. And I look forward to hearing from you and chatting with you and learning about what we can do to better meet your needs and the needs of the students you know here in our community.
Thank you, Dr. Vazquez.
So I would encourage you first and foremost to reach out to your neighborhood school. There are lots of opportunities for you to become engaged and just get to know the school and the activities and the events that you and your family will be participating once you enroll. Second, I would definitely point you to our website. We have so many resources available to parents. If you go to our website is www.ocps.net. If you click under parents, you're going to see quite a number of links. We have a parent academy that occurs several times a year. Some of those are face-to-face, some of those are virtual. We have lunch and learn, Facebook lunch and learn sessions, and we record those sessions. So you actually, if you can't attend, you can access the videos that we have. So there's lots of tips and resources for you to access on our website and through our social media. And then lastly, you are more than welcome to reach out, 407-317-3200. And then depending on what your question is, they can direct you to the various departments. Or if you have a concern, you can certainly reach out to my office. My email address is Maria, Maria, Vazquez. If you spell my name with an S, it goes to a custodian. So please, Vazquez at ocps.net. And I look forward to hearing from our future Orange County Public School students and parents.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Pace, Dr. Vazquez, this has been an enormous amount of information. Thank you so much for taking the time out of what I know are extremely busy schedules to come on tonight and speak to our viewers. I know that this is probably going to be one of those episodes that is watched over and over again, because sometimes parents just want to know, they just want this information for their own advisement. And thank you so much for coming on and providing that for our listening audience tonight. Thank you both.
Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. And thank you to our viewers for joining us tonight on Power of the Prosecutor. We will be back next first Monday to discuss another topic that we've selected and consider to be of importance to you. So thank you all again for being here this evening, and we look forward to seeing you next month, same time, same place on Power of the Prosecutor. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.